Redditors who have been an extra in TV/movies, what do you say to each other when you're in the background of a scene pretending to have a conversation?
There are a few common things people will do to look like they're speaking naturally, but, in the vast majority of situations, they aren't saying anything. They are being as completely silent as possible because the people filming do not want their sound on tape. If they want background sound of a crowd, they'll add exactly the sound they want. So watch a big party on screen or a couple characters having a conversation in a crowded bar. When actually filming, that room is dead silent except for the actors with scripted lines.
We were told to mouth the words watermelon coconut over and over again if we couldn't think of anything else.
Am I the only one scrolling through these posts and mouthing all these word combos like a mindless idiot?
I was in a party scene once. I was in the background talking to some other guy. He had his phone out showing me SpongeBob memes.
Years ago I was working as a copywriter at this small ad agency, and we were doing a promotional ad for the city where we were located. Although we had a few actors, there was a lot that was supposed to be real people from the city to make it more authentic. There was a scene at a casino with the two female leads having fun at the card tables. The director then tells I should sit next to them, that he felt I would work great in the shot. I didn't really want to do it, but he insisted. I wasn't sure what I was supposed to do, so I just kinda sat there a couple of takes and put my cards down when they won. He then pulls me aside and says, "Come on, play it up a bit. Be happy, be excited." I told him, "I can try, but why would I be happy? They are the ones that won." We did some takes with me happy and clapping and moved on to the next location. I was either really bad or he decided I was right, because they ended up going with a shot of me just sitting there, unhappy because I lost. Here is of my very brief time as an extra in a commercial.
We're just mouthing random words and miming conversations with each other. I remember I was an extra for a big TV pilot many years back, and during a restaurant scene, the extras with me at a small table decided to make a game of it. For each take, one person got to start our fake conversation, and just through hand gestures and expressions, we would try and figure out what they were talking about. It was fun.
I wouldn't stop laughing, so they had to ask me to leave.
Many years ago, me and my brother were extras in a movie, just walking down the sidewalk. We talked about the NBA slam dunk contest.
I was an extra for a TV show filmed in Edinburgh. We were in a bar and were told that one character was telling a big revelation. My starring role was to go to the bar and have a silent conversation with my old friend, the bartender. But I was also talking with this dude who each take would make his gestures more and more exaggerated. In the back of the actual shot you see, for a split second, this dude flailing his arms about like mad. No one else I know found this moment at all funny, the only insider joke I've ever had as an extra.
I was in the background of a pretty terrible movie, and me and this guy were supposed to have a fake conversation while the actors and actresses did their part. The guy said, "Do you watch Twitch?" And I said, "Yes," and then he asked me questions a lot like that, and it turns out we had a lot in common. Even after the director said, "Cut," we still were talking. Pretty much the entire day I was there, we were talking. Now that guy is one of my best friends.
Depends on the show. Sometimes they want total silence. Sometimes you whisper the same conversation you were already having. And sometimes you just carry on. One of my proudest moments was on Angie Tribeca, where they had us doing an Omni, which is where the extras all yell unintelligible stuff. Think the press suddenly shouting questions at the mayor. That's what the scene was. I got asked to just mouth stuff because my questions were so funny that the canner guys were laughing and shaking the shots. The director both congratulated and apologized to me, and usually directors never even speak to an extra.
They encourage us to just invent something, without yelling or anything, over, like to many hand gestures. If the person is bad with improvising a fake conversation, and this can happen, you can talk the lyrics of a music, but again without any over facial expressions or and hand gestures.
Nothing. Absolutely nothing. Nothing is coming out of our mouths. Our mouths are moving, but no sound is coming out.
I was in the movie Coneheads. We pretty much just continued the conversations we were already having.
You don't actually say anything. You have to be quiet. But you try to mimic conversation as best you can. For the most part, it's ad-lib and everyone is playing off of one another, but really good extras will pull each other aside and work out what their conversation is about so that the expressions and motions make some kind of sense. It's not required, but it really helps, and believe me, directors notice this. Example, I was background in a coffee shop for a TV show quite some time ago. 3 at a table where a 4th is to walk on, sit down and join a conversation. We all decided that the 4th was a friend who was just coming back from 4 years away, so we had almost no communication, and this was our first time together in those 4 years. That was it, we just improvised the movements and expressions from there. For no fault of our own, they had to reset the scene and shoot again. While this was happening, the director asked us what we were doing, not in a negative way, and we explained. He pointed at the walk-on and said, "You finished medical school and worked for the past few years in Uganda with Doctors Without Borders and are only here for the day because you're taking a train to DC where you will begin work at Hopkins." And he walked away. Years later, I think that was his way of saying that he appreciated that we took this job seriously, and so he treated us seriously. When the episode aired, our bit was chopped apart as the scene was cut to focus on different actors during their set, so there's no fluid video of this happening. But I think the job was accomplished in that you don't really notice we are there.
I did a lot of theater in high school, and in many scenes I would be an extra. We would normally mouth conversations in character about the scene, the setting, etc.
I've been an extra several times to a famous German-produced Netflix show and some other TV shows. We had to be absolutely quiet and just pretend to be engaged in conversations. Sometimes they wanted us to actually laugh or chant some words that were important in the scenes. Sometimes we had to shoot the same scene over and over while being quiet and then actually talk. If there is a party or something, the music will only be added in the aftermath. You also don't drink or eat whatever you have to hold in your hands.
I was in a bunch of TV shows and movies as background. I would just say, yay, and nod my head a lot. Somehow my career never materialized from there.
Okay, so I was an accidental extra once. I was in high school and my friend and I had just come out of the gym. There was a big gathering of people watching a girl play piano outside, and it was being filmed with a big camera on an arm that was rotating around. Everyone was dressed pretty fancy, but we didn't think anything of it and walked up. Eventually a lady came up to us and was like, "Are you guys supposed to be here?" We were like, "I don't know, what's going on?" She was like, "Okay, no worries, but act natural and in about a minute or so just walk off the set." We were like, "What?" Then we looked around, and there were even more cameras further back around the first camera we saw. They were filming a scene in a movie, where in the movie, they were filming a scene. So we walked onto the set by accident and just talked with the lady for a minute and then walked off.
Spreadsheet, crime, precinct.
My dad was in the background of Lord of the Rings, and he walked around saying, "Has any seen my car keys?"
I was an extra in The Dark Knight, but it was the Commissioner Loeb's funeral scene, so I just had to stand there and look solemn, even though I was freaking out because holy beep, Gary Oldman is right beat there.
I was told to just stand silently and look properly horrified. Was playing a shop owner that had his shop shot up in the scene prior, but every time the detective extra would walk over to question me, he'd whisper, ask random things like, "Do you think hermit crabs get brunch?"
I subscribe to the Patton Oswalt school of just standing still for the entire.
Mostly you're too busy trying to keep from pooping your pants to worry about pretending to have a conversation.
May your day be filled with joy and happiness. And please remember to like, share, and subscribe for more quality content every day.